To be an ace, you had to shoot down 5 enemy airplanes in aerial combat. At the very moment, I'm the highest scoring living ace.
Even from an early age, Clarence E. Anderson, known to most as Bud, was obsessed with becoming a pilot and joining the U.S. Army Air Corps. But in September of 1939, just as Bud was enrolled in an aeronautics institution, Hitler's Germany invaded Poland, igniting the start of the Second World War.
We here in the United States could see that was coming. It looked like we were going to have to get involved sooner or later.
Adolf Hitler's all-out attack on Poland makes the long-dreaded European war a certainty.
By January of 1942, the United States was at war with Japan and Germany. Eager to do his part, Bud wasted no time and enlisted the moment he was of age.
When I volunteered, got accepted for aviation cadets, and I'm so excited about it. Couldn't sleep that night. I got up and rushed out to my car, said goodbye. About the time I got to the gate, I said, oh my God, I forgot my orders. I went right in, busted into the kitchen. There was my mom sitting in a chair with her hands over her face, crying like a baby. I grabbed my orders and got the hell out of there. What was wrong with her? Not really, I knew. There were so many losses. What do you, when your family got the notice that Joe Blow's missing? It's quite a thing. I was a good shot. I've been through 3 gunnery schools, 2 in the Army Air Corps, and a lucky break. When I got to England, the group commander says, you go to the Royal Air Force Central Fighter Gunnery School and take the Mustang. And I got 35 hours on the Mustang.
By the end of 1943, Bud and the 363rd Fighter Squadron were in England, training in the Army Air Force's latest advancement in air combat, the P-51 Mustang. The plan was for the 363rd to provide air support for the inevitable invasion of Western Europe, known as D-Day. But before the invasion could be achieved, Germany's air forces would need to be silenced.
D-Day was already pretty well set in June. The 8th Air Force was supposed to destroy the Luftwaffe, go to the factories, blow up the airplane, go after the gasoline, blow up all the airplanes on the ground in the hangars. Our Army Air Corps thought that the bombers could go in unescorted. They could just do it all by themselves, go back into Germany, destroy their war-making capability, and the troops could walk in. Well, they forgot to tell the Luftwaffe about it. It just didn't work that way. They'd go on these raids, and the Germans would just eat them up. And so they finally decided, hey, we gotta have fighter escort. And the 8th Air Force said, well, we've got these P-51s over here, why don't we try them?
Bud Anderson and the 363rd were now assigned to the 8th Air Force. The P-51s escorted the vulnerable bombers on missions deep into Germany to wipe out the Luftwaffe.
Mustang was so great of an airplane. It had so much fuel in it. We could go into combat deep into Germany and engage the enemy. We could stay in the air longer than their interceptors could and get home easily. Now, the 8th Air Force before was run by bomber pilots. They told us how to escort. They said, we want you close, and when the enemy comes in, you drive them away and you come back. They had an altitude limit of 18,000 feet. If you hadn't shot them down yet, you had to come back up and close escort again. Wasn't exactly the way to do it, but that's what we were told. Said the mission of the 8th Fighter Command is to bring the bombers home safely. And General Doolittle came in, he says, the mission of the 8th Fighter Command is to destroy the Luftwaffe. And he released us. He said, now when you fighter pilots engage the enemy, you take them to the ground, follow them, kill them, pursue and destroy. Wow. Turning an eager bunch of fighter pilots loose turned out to be the best thing he ever did.
Finally unleashed, the fighter squadrons of the 8th Air Force began to rain fury on the German Luftwaffe. And Bud in particular began to show a knack for shooting down enemy aircraft.
To be an ace, you had to shoot down 5 enemy airplanes in aerial combat. And to be a triple ace, you had to do that 3 times at least. And I shot down 16 1/4 enemy airplanes. I can remember this flight. It was back to Posen, Poland, and we were already deep in Germany. We're escorting these long column of bombers, and we hear that they're being attacked up front. And so we swing around and push up the power to get up the front of the column. Here comes 4 ME-109s flying line abreast. They come right into the bombers, head on like this, fire. They roll over and come around like they're going to go up ahead of it again, come in for a second pass. Well, we cut them off at the pass, and I picked out this one guy, got into a turning dogfight right at the altitude where the B-17s were. And what are the bombers doing? They're coming right at us like this. We kept turning and turning, and I could see features of the B-17 windshield. And holy smokes. The first guy that breaks out of this turn is going to be at a disadvantage because that other guy can get on him. Sure enough, the 109 takes it down. So this guy's gonna turn like this and come back and try to go head on with me. And the head on passes are not fun. Not for me anyway. And I suddenly realize if I don't do something, the guy's gonna be able to get a shot at me. So he's turning like this. So I got a sight picture on him and fired a burst and went right by him because we were going like this. My wingman comes up here and he's looking at him and he says, Sandy, you got that guy. He says, you hit him all over around the engine. The propeller flew off of it, the cowling came off, and you hit the cockpit and everything. But the guy pulled up and bailed out like that right there on the spot.
But the missions over Europe were not always a success, and the 363rd was not immune to casualties.
Our squadron, the one we deployed with, went overseas with, had exactly 28 pilots in it. And when it was all over, exactly 50% of them were either killed or prisoners of war. What do you do about combat losses? You're there, you're in the same hut. Come home and there's an empty bunk over there at night. Each guy had to figure out how to cope with that. Some guys just could pull a shade down and ignore it. Some people would not make friends, close friends, because of it. But the For everyone we lost, we shot down 5. Our claim to fame was we shot down more enemy airplanes quicker than anybody else had. We destroyed their capability by May of 44. This allowed the invasion of Europe and then the final surrender of Germany. I'm not saying the fighter pilots won the war by any means. You know, it took everybody to win the war in Europe. No question about it. But the 8th Air Force over Germany was probably one of the most dangerous places to be. We took a tremendous toll from the enemy. My best friend got married 1 week before he went overseas. He got killed on his 5th mission. And Eleanor, she got notified by telegram. I had such a cold way, but you know, there were just so many people died that you couldn't send somebody personally there to notify the widow. When I went home on R&R between tours, I had to go see her. I think in my 30 years in the Air Force, that's the hardest thing I ever had to do, was jump in my staff car and drive up to her quarters and tell her husband's not coming home tonight. But anyway, I go see her, and yeah, that wasn't so bad. So I went back to see her again, and maybe again, and then we said, well, that's right. So we kept in touch. I came home for my 2nd tour, and we were married on the 23rd of February. So it was a whirlwind romance. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Following the war's end, Bud Anderson raised a family and went on to a 30-year career in the United States Air Force, finally retiring as a highly decorated colonel in 1972. Still, one of the greatest honors of his life came in 2015 when the city of Auburn, California commemorated a gift to Bud in recognition of his accomplishments and service to his country.
The town has a great spirit, and they're very good about veterans. It was a tremendous thing. It was very humbling. And I never really had a hometown. I lived and was raised on a farm. Never lived in the city. Now I feel like I have a hometown. There's many aces that outrank me, but at the very moment, I'm the highest scoring living ace, underlined living.
Hi everyone, I'm Josh from Memoirs of World War II, and I just want to say thank you for watching this episode. Our goal is to capture as many World War II veteran stories as we can from all over the world, but we can't do it alone. If you'd like to help us in this mission, consider supporting us through Patreon and check out our website, memoirsofworldwar2.com, for more information. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell so you don't miss a single episode. Again, we want to thank you for your support, and thanks for watching.